Good morning, Michelle with Medicine with the Metals. Mark is not here today, but I'm super excited. We have Niko and Karina from Plug in Mind. They have now become both our neighbors and our friends and are doing some really cool things with helping people escape the matrix. So let you introduce yourselves and then we'll jump into the to all the good stuff.
Thank you, Michelle.
You go first.
Well, as you said, we're a plug in mind, and we're here to help people heal, liberate, learn to love themselves and accept themselves, and to really escape the programming and the limitations that were inherited by us throughout generations. And our job is to help people break it and really feel the wholeness of who we are.
And I guess the second part would be to empower them and to guide them with practical tools to achieve everything that we can dream up in our lives, which is it's up to us. It's our choice what we allow ourselves to experience in this body and do it to the best of our ability with as much joy and conviction that we can't fail, we can't go wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting how you got started on this path, Nico. You were a teacher, and why don't you explain how you got to where you are now?
Yes. I have honor specialist in genetics, and I was always interested in science, in how the mind works, and psychology. And I always knew I wanted to be a teacher or a guide. And in a system in Canada, the only pathway that was available was to become an educator, and that's what I did. I have honor specialist in genetics, and then I taught at a high school level for 12 years. I taught chemistry, biology, so about 7 years into my career, I realized that I should be doing something else, and I should be doing what I'm doing differently. And at that point, mental health is a very big issue with students and people in general. And whenever I was talking about fasting and facing fears and maybe taking a cold shower, the students really enjoyed that. But I wasn't covering the curriculum. So what I did, I used the 80-20 rule, and I said, on a Friday, I'm going to talk about the things that you guys need to know about that are not in the curriculum per se, but they relate to the biology course that I was teaching. And we were talking about
Sure.
digestive system, and I was saying, hey, digestive system needs a rest just like your muscles. So why not introduce intermittent fasting? Why not face the fears that we have? You know, we're feeling all this anxiety, but what are we doing practically? And to my big surprise, the principal at the school said that we have special people at the board level that are responsible for this. You are responsible for teaching curriculum. And to me, that was very interesting because I haven't seen these people in my classroom. So therefore,
Mm.
there was no role model for the kids. And I stepped into that role. So every Friday, I would talk about the things that really mattered to me and I wanted the kids to know. Things about finances, things about taking responsibility. And I was called to the principal's office and they let me know that I should be stopping that. That's not my role. And at that point, I knew I had to resign because I couldn't see a future in a system that is controlling what I say. And if I feel that the children are needing this information and they're not receiving it, who is going to be the one telling them this and supporting them along the way? So, long story short, I decided that I will quit teaching. And at that point, we decided to move to Costa Rica. And from then on, things unfolded in the most wonderful ways, and we found the medicine that I was meant to work with and help people with different modalities and different techniques that are helping to slow down the mind enough so that we can feel rather than keep thinking. So when we're in a situation where we're feeling, we are not associating with the ego, with that thinking mind, and we're able to feel the totality of who we are without it intervening and course correcting and saying you're wrong and this is not possible, And in the process, we discovered that we are the creators of our reality, no matter how cheesy it may sound, that we are the source, the gods. We are creators of everything we would like to see in this world. And I have decided that we will step into that role fully and accept full responsibility for the outcomes, but we will help people step into their power. And we're working with different modalities and helping to press the right buttons and read between the lines when we're working with people so that they can stop relying on the other person as an intermediary. They can fully check in with themselves and decide that I'm going to do this for me. And then when the cup is full, they can share it with other people, without an
Well, I
expectation
like
of
that
return.
idea. I like that idea. When the cup is full, then it's time to share with other people. And Karina, how did you come to come down this path? So you guys were in Canada. Is that where I see you said? And then so you came together to Costa Rica.
We did,
Okay.
yes. Actually, in the midst of COVID, we packed up our little children and we came to Costa Rica. And surprisingly enough, we came to the what I think was the most non-spiritual town that we could find in Costa Rica. Yet within weeks, we were introduced to people who were on the plant medicine path, um, searching to open up a retreat, and ayahuasca came into the periphery, and Bufo, and all these
Amazing.
beautiful sacred medicines, and we started our path, obviously healing ourselves, and in the process, we realized that it is our calling to help others, and through training, through work, through many different modalities and ways of learning, we've come to do what we do now, is hold retreats and ceremonies for people.
And so, had you ever had any experience with this medicine? And we'll talk about the medicine. Or and listen, everything's medicine, right? Life is medicine. Children are medicine. Everything is medicine. So all the modalities. Had you ever experienced that, or were you sort of seeking that once you got to Costa Rica and then found what you were looking for that maybe you didn't even know you were looking?
Well, I think Nico was always the seeker in our tandem here. I usually watch him go and explore, and then I kind of warm up and open up to different modalities and different medicines. And we had a little bit of experience with the medicines prior, but not to the point that we've discovered once we were here. And that was a very deep dive into getting to know ourselves and healing ourselves. Especially for me, there was a lot I needed to heal, and through helping myself, I realized how many more people need what I found, and that's how we started sharing it.
Hmm. And so, plug in mind where and the Matrix. I love this. Talk to me about how you came up with this name, and what do you mean by you say? Is it escaping the Matrix? How circumventing the Matrix? Making your way through the Matrix? What are you aiming to help people do?
I would, my greatest wish is, it doesn't sound very
Humble.
humble, but the best use of my time here on earth is to help people liberate, period. And we're liberating from the old programs, from limiting beliefs, from not being enough, from the lies, from deception, and everything that shouldn't be, that shouldn't belong. And I think if every single person steps into their power and decides that I have the power to say no, I have the power to draw a line that I'm not willing to cross, or I'm not allowing other people to cross. And I will make my own decision, regardless of the fallout, regardless of judgment and what other people may think. I think that would be a very good result at the end, because if every single person takes the responsibility to think for themselves and not rely on a third party, I think we're going to make quite a bit of progress. You know, at the end of the day, we have to make a choice. Am I accepting what is coming towards me, or am I saying no to that? And if we listen to our intuition and go from there, rather than what's the accepted wisdom, what is the narrative currently, if we check in with ourselves and decide for ourselves, I don't think we can go wrong. And if we can do it en masse, um, I think the result is going to be quite phenomenal, because the things that are not working, that are trapping us, will fall away, because we will refuse to go along with whatever doesn't make sense. And for every
Hmm.
single person,
Hmm.
it is different and it is unique. So we would really want to see that. Well, for me personally.
Letting go of what no longer serves me. I mean, I think that is serves us, serves whoever, that's been one of my greatest lessons, and one of the most empowering and freeing things that has come from not just plant medicine, but the work behind it, right? I mean, the medicine is the smallest part. Mark and I started Plant Medicine Path for information, education, and integration of plant medicines, because integration is the most important part. Otherwise, why are we doing this? What are we doing this work for? So yeah, I just love that you take the individualized approach, right? Because we are not a one size fits all, as Western society allows us to believe by putting every single person on a medication, saying say same time every day. So we are individuals, and we are showing up with different traumas, different ages, different everything's. So talk to me about your approach your individualized approach, and then let's talk medicine.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're absolutely right. Every single person is so unique, with different sets of beliefs and traumas and limiting beliefs, that we have to read between the lines, and we have to get to know a person at a very deep level, get them to trust us enough to unfold their what they're facing currently. And it is our job to listen and to go a little bit deeper and look for the buttons that we can press, so that the real core, the real root of the problem can come out. And once we know what that is, we can address it appropriately. But before um, we do that, we have to talk to a person, and get to know them. So our process is about 7 days, and this is the minimum amount of time we can allocate to really do a good job. We would like to get to the root of every single problem that is in front of us, and that takes time. It's a function of time, connecting the dots and knowing which direction to go. So it is quite labor intensive, it is quite creative, but the end result far exceeds the effort, because it is so valuable. And it's been like this for us, and for the people who come through us and get to know us. And if they choose to trust us, we can guide them a little bit further. We're not doing the work for them, not at all. We're guiding them and helping them to see what may be the next best step for them, and they make a choice. We're not telling them what to do, although there are things that we can suggest
Encourage.
and encourage in an action plan, um, which we do at the end, where we co-create a path forward that is very solid. It is clear. There is no wishy-washy um, stuff. Everything that they can act on in their daily lives when they are resuming the life after the medicine work.
Which and integration is such a big part of what you offer with Mark, and it is very important for us because we can't treat this week as a trip. No matter how you slice it, it is a life changing experience. But you really lock it in when you go back and you commit to yourself, you commit to this action plan that we co-create. And that's what helps you not slip back into your old life, because you almost have like this northern star that this is what I need to do in order to keep going and keep giving to myself and really change the patterns that were maybe, self-destructing, or not giving yourself enough respect, enough love, not having boundaries. So that is all that we work through during the week. Is we There's a lot of talk therapy. It's a lot of getting to know each person and understanding their needs, their wants, and building this whole retreat about, if a person has a hard time setting boundaries, that's what we focus on. Where did it start? How did it become part of who you are? How do we break these patterns? At the end of the day, I think we all struggle with loving ourselves before we really understand who we truly are. But we all have different keys to unlocking the love, to unlocking the lock of self-love. And that's why with each person it's a little bit different of how we navigate it. And we, as Niko said, we press buttons and we always apologize in advance, and we say we're probably going to bruise your ego a little bit, but we do it with love, simply because we only have a week, and we have decades and years of programming and not loving yourself to work through. So therefore
Sure.
we're going to push, and we're going
Yeah.
to make sure that we undo as much as we possibly can. And that's
Well,
the strategy.
I think that we've been taught, I mean, from day one that, it's not okay to be uncomfortable, right? Like, I got a headache, take a Tylenol. I do this, I need this. I something happens, then I, need to watch TV, or it's taught to us to not be uncomfortable. It's not okay to be uncomfortable. And part of this work is learning that it's not only okay to be uncomfortable, but it is absolutely vital to sit in that uncomfortableness and to really understand and to go in there and find it deep. So having an action plan is beautiful. It's all about the integration afterwards. The medicine and the retreat itself is a huge part of it, but it's really just the beginning. I mean, it's all the work that comes afterwards, because otherwise what's the point if we're not going to change our lives? Maybe it was just a cool experience, or maybe it wasn't, but that's the way that we always explain it. The integration is the medicine is the smallest part of it. It's the pre-integration and the post-integration that mean everything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The big work happens after the medicine experience, the medicine journey. We can hop from one ayahuasca ceremony to the other, or we can go from one medicine to the other, and we can chase that feeling of unconditional love, or we can chase the afterglow. And I guess that's okay for some people, but the better thing to do would be to take all the insights, all the downloads, all the realizations, and make solid commitments as to how we're going to change our lives so that we capitalize on these gains going forward. And I think that's the biggest trick is how do we tangibly continue living, having a better compass, redirecting our plane into a direction of where I would like to go as a human being rather than where everyone is going.
Mm, hmm. Yeah, so true. That's a beautiful way of putting it. That's exactly it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the medicine itself. So what brought you to this particular medicine?
I had an experience in medicine where I felt that I was I was called to be working with the medicine. I didn't experience it. I experienced it in ayahuasca, one of my first experiences, and I was by myself in the woods. I stepped aside from the group, and I needed to connect with the forest. And I was crying on the ground, and I was something came out of my mouth, and I said, "I'm a I'm a shaman. I'm a shaman. I'm a shaman." And then I started repeating it with tears of joy and celebration of something that was so sacred to me. A name shaman is someone who is selected by the tribe, by the group. It is not something I can give myself, or maybe I shouldn't give myself. But it just kind of came out of me, and then and I knew it, that I knew deep down that this was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I wanted to dedicate my life to helping people experience the freedom of limitation, whatever that is. And as time went on, I happened to sit with the medicine of Bufo, which is the strongest psychedelic on the planet. And that's when I said to Karina, I was born to do this. So my life will never be the same because now this is my path.
When Nico opened his eyes after his Bufo journey, he looked me dead in the eye and he said, "I was born to do this." And Nico is not a person that throws words in the air. Being a teacher, being a hypnotherapist, he's very careful with his words. And I remember all of the hair on my body stood up, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what is this?" But it was the beginning of the path, and he was right. He was born to do this, and I feel like he, even his first ceremony, it was an initiation back into this medicine, because the connection he has with it is just divine. He can feel it, like he talks to that spirit, and it's beautiful to witness. And that's how it all started, and that's how he came
Yeah.
to recognize that this was his mission in life. This is why he's here, to serve this medicine, to share it, and to help people with, with what we help people do. But that comes from him living it, and living what he's preaching every single day, with discipline, with that conviction, that joy, that love, and unwavering discipline. That's really it. Because as we said, you can sit with different medicines, but if you do not bring a disciplined way of implementing all the downloads, all the knowledge into your daily life, then it's just a journey. It's not a life-changing experience.
And I agree. And once you see it,
What?
you can't unsee it. And although we are human, and so sometimes it's five steps forward and two steps back, and then sometimes I realize the more healing I do, the more fucked up I actually am. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing how deep you can go. How so that was his experience. What was your experience?
Well, my experience, I don't know where do I start, but maybe I'll just I come from a very, I guess, a broken way of like, I don't know if I like how I said that. I had a pretty difficult time growing up. I was sexually abused by my biological father. There was a lot of abuse, of a lot of neglect in my life, and I was completely broken. I didn't know who I was. I was seeking love from everyone. Just love me, see me, notice me, help me. Because obviously back then I didn't know the only person that can help myself is me. So I was looking for that everywhere until I found plant medicine, where for the first time in my life, and it still gets me emotional, I felt self love, and I didn't know what that feeling was. I was so overwhelming, I couldn't breathe.
Mm,
And from that point moving forward, with a lot of help of Nico, I started filling my cup and getting to know who I am and loving myself. and breaking the patterns of being a people pleaser, a victim, and all those labels that I've inherited from my ancestry, essentially. And with each medicine journey, I grew more and more to knowing who I am, why I'm here. And now I know for sure that all the unfortunate events that happened to me in my childhood and my adolescence were there so I can heal them. And now I get to use these tools and that knowing what it feels like to help other people, because there are so many of us who have been sexually abused and who never had the strength to look, to really dig and unfold it and look at all the darkness and ugliness of it, and then realize that, well, yeah, this was my contract. I signed up for it in this experience in this body, but I make a choice for that not to be part of my life ever again. And I break that pattern so my descendants are not here to experience any of it, because it ends with me. And that was my
Mhm.
experience essentially in healing that big trauma. And now I can speak about it openly and not even get emotional, because I know that it's in the past. It doesn't hold me anymore. It doesn't control me anymore, because I know who I am and I love myself and I accept all parts of me.
Well, it's healed. It's healed when we can talk about it as it's just now part of who we have become now, without that emotion. It's part of, I hate the word the story, but it's part of our story. Then I believe then that my personal belief is that then it's really healed. That is really healed. That not everything, but that particular thing. I also come from, not myself, but my family, from a very, very lots of sexual abuse, and children born from their father who is also their grandfather, and I mean lots of just really just a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma. And it was not until plant medicines that I also was able to really see and understand, their pain and suffering, and understanding of why they then caused pain and suffering. And we're all capable of causing that pain and suffering, not in that manner, but um, it's beautiful that you were able to, it's healed. Now you're able to help others with it. Well, let's jump right into it and talk about the medicine that you serve, which is Bufo. This is a incredibly, like you said, the most powerful psychedelic. Um, I've heard people say, "Oh, I would want to do that because it doesn't last very long." It doesn't last. It's not the longest lasting, but it is absolutely one of the most powerful experiences that I have ever had. Um, so let's talk about that medicine.
Well, to me, it is a very special medicine. All medicines are very special, and um, I feel that all the medicines are good at, I hate the word retarding the brain, but slowing down the brain to a particular extent. Some medicines are a little bit later. Some medicines work over a longer period of time. For example, ayahuasca. To get a breakthrough with ayahuasca, usually we need to go very, very deep over an extended period of time. The advantage of Bufo is that it is quick. We're able to achieve a state of non-duality, i.e., the complete slowing down of the mind within one inhale. And that is very, very special because we can control different aspects of the process and help a person arrive to a place where it hurts the most, or bypassing all the limiters that the brain has installed. And when that happens, the process is so much more condensed, but it is more intense. And I like that because I can almost titrate, I can almost dial in the amount of medicine needed to achieve a particular outcome. We need to know where we're going and what would be the best case scenario, and based on that, we work backwards and help a person get there. So Bufo is very special, and It is a lot of work. It could be a fun medicine, but at the same time, we're not doing it for fun. We're doing it to accomplish a goal. Very scientifically, very methodically, we decide what is the best possible outcome and aiming to achieve that. So to me, that is very special. It's really hard to do that with psilocybin or ayahuasca or a DMT, for example. To me, that's why I love it so much, because it is quick, it is to the point, and it is total. There is very little room for not getting there, whatever that is, whatever that outcome is.
The way I see the medicine of Bufo, and I absolutely love all medicines because I feel like every medicine gives us something very, very special. And they all have different potency, different length. And for me, see, mushrooms, I absolutely love this medicine, and it can take me very deep, and it can be very earthy and very alien like. But to me, there is the spirit of mushrooms that is between us and the journey. Let's put it that way. Same thing with ayahuasca. The way I see Bufo, there is no middleman in Bufo. It's you and the
Mm.
source. There is no spirit of Mother Ayahuasca or the mushrooms or Wachuma. It's you and God, and that love between. That's how I see it.
I
And
love that, Karina. I've never heard it described like that before. I love that.
thank you. Well, this is how I feel. And that's why the way we work with Bufo is a little bit different with the doses and how we serve it, to make sure that there is no difficulty after, where people can feel very ungrounded for weeks after that. I would say never really happened in any of our retreats or ceremonies, because the way we, with the pre-work, with facing fears, with ice baths, with working with Kambo, with preparing so much to this medicine, that when we get there, the person is so ready, and we take the person so gently through the experience that afterwards, yes, reactivations may happen.
And I love how you said how with Bufo, there is not that middleman. It is you and God. And really, for the first time in my life, I understood what that meant, what God meant, although I thought I'd understood what God meant until I had that Bufo. Well, the second one, the first one, I was very afraid to let go. But then when I just said, I'm doing this, I'm letting go, it was just, I just kept saying, I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. And afterwards, somebody asked me, what did you get? And I was like, everything. I get it, everything. But then how quickly I forget, right? So the integration has to come in.
Exactly, and integration is so so important, because the way I see it in Bufo, we really become our soul. We know exactly why we're here, who we are, and what is the purpose of life. But as the medicine wears off, and we kind of come back into our body, the veil, no, not the
The
veil,
veil.
the veil closes, and we're back
Quickly.
into, oh, I'm just this. I'm just the body. I'm just a human. And it's so important to marry, this part, the brain and the heart. And I feel that the integration is what helps us really connect our brain with our heart and operate from the space of heart, and move on in life doing things very differently, with a fixed plan of what is it we do for ourselves every single day, non-negotiably, so we don't slip back into the old self.
Do you think personally that death, the experiencing Bufo might be the closest thing that people experience with death? I mean, I know you haven't died yet, so you don't really know. But when I hear about near death experiences, when I have experienced Bufo myself, what are your thoughts on that?
Maybe I can offer a different kind of angle on this. So if we if we accept that the Bufo or any medicine is slowing down the mind, uh, then what we're doing, we can imagine that our mind operates at, let's say, 100%. And every single medicine with stronger and stronger amounts, we're decreasing that bandwidth to 50, to 40, to 20, to 10, to 5, to 2%, to 1%. And the closer we get to zero, the less the programs that we have installed within our mind are trying to course correct and interpret what it is that we are feeling and experiencing. So when the mind is off, or when it is not operating as it normally does in this reality, we actually get to see who we truly are minus the programs. So it's who we truly are minus the programs. And when you experience that eternal, everlasting essence of love and of existence that we are, that is something undescribable. There are no words that can actually describe the sensation of being eternal, of not having to die, because we never die. We only die in the body. We change form. But the realization that we're eternal beings of love, here to express ourselves authentically, fully as we are, is absolutely mind-blowing. It was like this for me and for so many people. And what do you do with that information now? Once you know that you can make a mistake, that no matter what happens, you're not going to die, what are we going to do at this point in time? How are we going to capitalize on it to make sure that we are giving ourselves everything that we want and deserve? So that's the next big can of worms that opens up. You have all the tools, you have all the insight. What are you going to do with this? How are you going to use it? Or are you going to go back to medicine again and again, and you're now stuck in a loop? Is that productive? For us, of course, it's very productive to take the insights and downloads and now implement them. If you know that you're pure unconditional love, what are we going to do with that? We're going to check in with our intuition and listen to it and make adjustments to how we run things in our lives so that we achieve that goal. We point our plane in a direction just a little bit more, a few degrees more, so that we arrive at a destination of our choosing. And it's not someone else told me that I have to go in that direction. It's me. I decided for myself. And that's all I can take responsibility for myself. I cannot take responsibility for anyone outside of myself because I cannot control the outcome. But I can make sure I can fill my cup so that it is full, brimming with that love. And when it's overflowing, people can extend their hand and collect all that wonderful love for free without expectation of return. And to me, that is so wonderful and beautiful, because by being a role model, we can empower other people.
I think that you are showing people that sovereignty.
You know, the idea is not to attach and be a middleman in between the person and the healing that they're seeking. The idea for me is to remove myself completely so that I'm not involved in that process, and I shouldn't be involved long term. For short term, yes, it's guiding and it's supporting, but the ultimate goal is to remove myself from the picture completely.
So, and I know it's not all about the medicine for you. You integrate other modalities. You integrate food and breath work and cold baths, I believe, and other modalities, and that's to prepare for the medicine. So, can you tell me a little bit about that?
You know, the process that we came up with, and we kind of we cut all the fat, trimmed the fat a little bit from what may be redundant, and we're trying to concentrate on the nuggets. And the nuggets that we're focusing on would be the ice bath. And it's very effective at facing the ego and being uncomfortable on purpose. And in the process of that, we become comfortable being uncomfortable. So if I take an ice bath in
Mm.
the morning, my intensity level is very, very high. And then no matter what happens during the course of a day cannot get me off balance. I'm training myself to withstand periods of discomfort. And the better I am at this, the easier life becomes, because when someone says something or something doesn't go as planned, it doesn't affect me as much. So I need training with that. And if I put energy into it, I become better at this. So that is a fundamental part of the process. The second part is cleaning out the body with Kambo. We're using this
Mm.
medicine to make sure that we can get rid of toxins, unprocessed emotions, again, face difficulty, and clean out the digestive tract so that we can now fill our body with the foods that are actually good for us, with liquids that are good for us. And next time, if I'm offered Coca Cola or chips or anything unhealthy for me, I will think about how difficult it was to move that out of my system. And maybe I'll make a better choice. So these choices, one by one, add up to a life that is healthy, that is where I'm in control and I'm not, my energy level is high. I'm not fighting to survive. I'm thriving, and then we go into the breath work as well, which is saturating your body with oxygen and moving carbon dioxide out, and we're also slowing down the mind in a way which is very interesting. And then finally, when we're clean and ready, we dive into the medicine of Bufo, that's space. And we do all that preparation work so that the actual experience is as profound and deep and long lasting as it can be. The final step, of course, is the action plan, where we decide what's going to happen in a person's life and support that is ongoing afterwards, you know?
And the beautiful thing with ice baths and with Kambo, and even with breath work, oftentimes people say, oh, there is no way I can hold my breath for a minute and a half. And then all of a sudden they surprise themselves with what they can achieve, or saying, oh, I cannot last in the ice bath for more than 20 seconds. And then, 4 minutes later, this person gets out of the ice bath so full of joy and so empowered. So if I can do this, what else can I do? What other limitations have I set for myself that this is not available for me? So what we do is we help people break those boxes of thinking that I cannot do this, I'm not strong enough, I don't have the physique, or I don't have the mental capacity. And throughout the process, people get to see that they're a lot more powerful and resilient than they ever allowed themselves to think. And going back home, knowing what they've put themselves through during the week of being with us, because it's not easy, but it's so beneficial that after all, people people are just surprised, and they can break those boxes. They can say the no's, they can say yes, they can start a hobby or something that they've always wanted to do, but in their heads they were saying, I'm not able. But now they're saying, well, yes, I'm capable of this and a lot more. And that is just so beautiful to witness, when people start believing in themselves and seeing how strong they are. It brings so much joy and tears to my eyes pretty much every time, because it's this is why we do this.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I think that what these medicines do, people think that, oh, that medicine is going to heal me, and that's not it. What they don't understand is the answers are already inside. This medicine just lights up what we need to be shown. And to watch somebody go through that transformation is pretty powerful. It's just as
It's
powerful for my own healing to participate in that and
Mm,
be of service as it is for their healing. And they don't even know that.
so true.
very much so. I feel
Yeah.
that we all heal with each person that is, with us. Just witnessing their transformation, it heals a part of your heart.
It does. It does. And and I say this on almost every podcast, but it's true. Every message that I've been given, whether it has been through, you know, I mean, I was in AA for 20 years before I did plant medicines. In every plant medicine ceremony that I've had over the past 7 years, in every prayer or meditation that I've done, breath work, anywhere I'm looking or anywhere that I'm seeking, the answer that always comes to me is when I heal, those around me heal. When I heal, my children heal. When I heal, those around me heal. And it doesn't matter what medicine it is, whether it's just the fight I had with my daughter over the past week, which is medicine, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. That is what the message is for me personally, when I heal, those around me heal. It's the best gift I can give to myself, but to everybody else as well.
And this is so true. And you and I talked about it, that my first ever plant medicine ceremony was because I wanted to make sure that I am the best mother I can be for my children. And I knew that if I start healing myself, I will help my children have a better mother, have a better role model, have a better environment to grow up in. And my older son was really the reason I chose to dive into getting to know myself and healing those wounded parts of me that could be damaging for him. And that was my choice. And today I can say that I'm so much more of a calmer and understanding mom. I don't make the same mistakes that were made by our parents and grandparents, not because they were bad. They did the best they could, but they didn't have the knowledge we have now. They didn't have the tools we have now. Because how can we love someone if we don't love ourselves? And
Absolutely.
that's how we
And
come
and
to
you
it.
have how old are your children? 7 and 9?
7 and 9, yes.
7 and 9. I mean, how fortunate that they are growing up with parents who are awake. um I just I am personally here on a mission on this earth I signed up for, to break some pretty serious trauma, lineage and trauma. And I'm doing it. And I'm the first woman in, I think, like 9 generations to not be a teen mom. Now none of my kids have been teen moms. Now my children, while they didn't grow up, you know well, my youngest, I guess, was younger when I went to medicine, but they have an awake mom. And so now my daughter is going to have a baby, and she's been drinking medicine now, and so now now she's waking up before she even has her baby. I mean, it's happening, right? The purpose, the mission, it's happening. Now look what your boys are going to do, right? I mean, they have these parents who are awake and teaching them in a different way.
Very much so. And I have goosebumps as you're saying this about your daughter, and it's so beautiful. And, watching these kids, our kids, they're present in many ceremonies and they've witnessed people go through their transformation. And I always wondered how they feel watching, people go through their journeys. And they say it's so much fun. They say that it's almost like looking you guys adults being children like, being playful, being funny, and be it screaming or rolling around or speaking of love and God, it brings them so much joy to witness, and they know that this is normal. This is how we heal. This is how we reconnect to who we are. And it's so beautiful for them to understand that you know, this is the way to go. They know, say that alcohol is bad for you. They know all these things already. And they're like,
Mhm.
we don't want to do this. Even though our younger one every once in a while asks us, when is he ready for medicine? But that's a story for a few more years to go.
Yep. That's amazing. It's because they're not going to be sitting in I mean, who wants any of our kids to be sitting in a therapist's office, right? This is why we do the work that we do. But they're not going to be sitting there in 20 years. How am I trying to say this? We're always going to cause trauma. I mean, we're human beings. We're never, we haven't achieved Buddhism yet, or we haven't achieved it all. We're coming back to learn lessons. So I'm still imperfectly perfect. I'm still going to make mistakes, and I had a fight with my daughter just last week. Like, we do this. So we are human, but they're learning a different way from a young age of they're learning different tools. And so by the time they're going to have their children, then that generation, you guys are really breaking that generational trauma. The
And
lineage,
it's,
as my husband, as Mark calls it.
yeah, and I fully agree with you. And it's a very interesting thing because, oftentimes when we were growing up, if something was a no, the answer was because I said so. With our kids, we're very different. Whenever it's a no, there is an explanation of why. So we take so much more time to explain to our children, to apologize for the mistakes, because we are human. And sometimes I'll raise my voice and then I'll
Of
say, listen,
course.
I am so sorry I did this. I couldn't handle my emotions because such, such, and such. And the beautiful thing is, in that conversation, they can say, yeah, mom, I understand. Like, I know I pushed it way too far. And I know you were very patient with me. And I know why this happened. So there is no, blowing out just for the sake of blowing out. There is always a conversation. There is always an apology or an explanation, which makes
Right.
it a very different type of bringing up these children. They know, they have their boundaries. They have that self-love already. Certain things that they say to me, I look at them with this huge smile on my face, knowing, wow, like, I did this. I could have never allowed myself to say that to my parents and be accepted the way they're accepted. And again, not because my parents are bad people, simply because they didn't know.
That's right. You don't know until you know. You don't know until you know. Well, you guys are doing amazing things, and the fact that you're raising them in Costa Rica. I mean, that just, I wish I had known about Costa Rica the way I know about it now 25 years ago, because I definitely would have raised my babies here.
It's so beautiful to watch them be so free, so grounded, connected to nature, speaking a bunch of languages, playing soccer at the beach instead of being stuck looking at a device. It's so heartwarming to be able to give our children this childhood.
You know what? I'm not allowed to say challenge anymore. What do you find is the biggest opportunity?
Well, really, within the retreats, there is no such thing as the biggest opportunity, because it just flows, and it's beautiful because we always find ways. I think it's
Yeah,
exposure, really. It's
yeah,
having more
yeah.
people know about who we are and what we do, and that's the opportunity we'd like to see more. But other than that, it's been a beautiful journey, and
You guys
our
are
success
totally
rate is
correct.
100%. And yes, so that's what it is. Our work is beautiful and it's smooth. And yes, there are challenges or opportunities that pop up during the retreats, but it's not something that we're not able to solve altogether. But it's getting people to know who we are, and how we can help them best, because this is our life's mission, to help people to liberate, to find that true essence of who they are. And that's what we'd like to do. We'd like more people to know who we are, where we are, and welcome them with, open arms, to come in and really face themselves. Because one thing I've realized with all the beautiful sacred medicines, you can never be disappointed in who you are, because underneath all the masks, all the limitations, is a beautiful soul. And all we need to do is uncover it and welcome it and really live it.
Yeah, and I also would like to add that I hope that people are aware of these healing opportunities, and maybe they will make a choice away from the traditional harmful ways of dealing with one symptom that causes a whole downstream effect of other symptoms. I hope they can be aware of work that we and other people do, and make a choice that is resonating with them. I hope this information is available to people and they can make a choice at that point. Do I go left or do I go right? Do I stay the same, or do I try something that I may not be very comfortable with, but it will open my eyes to something that I couldn't have considered ever in my life to be possible, to be real, and to be available to them. I hope that people can find out and make a choice that way, because at the end of the day, we're pure unconditional love. And the only opportunity now we can take is to express ourselves authentically, exactly as we are, without the fear of judgment, become like children again almost. Why did we stop being children? Because we need to play a role of an adult? Why? We could, and maybe it's working for some people, but my true essence is joy, and I would like to express that as much as I can. And if I play music, or if I sing, if I do silly things, well, this is all of me. Take it or leave it, but I will not change for another person. I don't see a point in that. I might as well offer myself exactly as I am, and the ones that resonate, the ones that find something interesting there will stay. I don't have to spend energy on attracting and manipulating these people to be my friends or to like or respect me. They simply come into my sphere or they don't, and which is perfect. So I hope that people can express themselves, who they are, and be strong in their truths, so that we all individually can change, and then we can infect other people with this beautiful goodness of being yourself, not giving a shit about what other people think. And I hope that we can get there one day. I actually think that we're on this wonderful road of liberation, and the only thing that's standing between success and failure is our choice into stepping into that power and saying, I accept full responsibility. I don't care about the fallout. If it resonates strongly in my heart, I come from a good place. I can't be wrong. So that's it.
Radical responsibility, I call it. Taking radical responsibility. It's not easy. Well, I think what you guys are doing is amazing. You're doing beautiful work down here in Costa Rica. We are here to help get the word out of and get exposure. I know that can be the most challenging part. It is part of the reason why Mark and I do what we do. After my first medicine experience, I also knew that I was supposed to be here doing something. I didn't know what. It wasn't serving medicine, but I knew I was to be of service somehow. And Mark and I found this is how we're of service, is to get the message out there and to get the word out there, and to information, education, and of course integration, but and getting it out there so people know where to go and know where to find the right places. So tell us where we can find you, and besides the plant medicine path and Mama Dose, where else can we find you?
Plug in Mind is our website, and we're actually launching an academy this month, which is very exciting. We're going to be offering educational services and for people who are looking for a change and they're unable to fly and see us in person. So pluginmind.com is the place to start, and we can take it from there.
And Michelle, I also want to say thank you very much to you and Mark for what you do. It is truly amazing. And I remember chatting with Mark right at the beginning of the plant medicine path when you guys were starting, and how you've grown and how you are helping people in so many ways. It's a beautiful, beautiful path, and truly a big, big heartfelt thank you to you for doing what you do and for the service that you're providing for all of us. So big thank you.
Yes,
Well, I
and
really
I
appreciate that. I think that we're all here for this. We're all here to be of service. It's just finding your niche and where you can best fit to help.
Yes. And I also want to remind your viewers that the chance of success is a solid 100%. There is no option for a failure. It's not a part of the equation. So if you feel that in your heart that you're you're looking to step into your power, there is no better day than today. So put all the eggs in one basket and decide that I'm going to be a role model for those closest to me, and no one will stop me. And you will succeed. There is no option of failure at all. It's just an illusion.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. I hope you'll come back on and talk, and next time it can be the four of us. I love that we're now neighbors and friends and we can hang out. But we would love to have you come back on and definitely talk about your new coming up thing. I love this idea. You're right. Not everybody can come down here. So to offer something online is beautiful. So I hope that you'll come back and talk with us about it.
Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
your time. Hasta pronto.
Thanks, you guys.